Welcome in, everyone. RFK Refugees Podcast. Ted here, John here, both sitting from slightly cleaner looking recording areas.
Thank you for noticing. I cleaned so much today, and I had before my producer was giving me like what's still in frame. So it's still a little bit of chaos outside of frame, but it's better.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah,
you looks great on your end.
Yeah. It's still a little messy in the back, but it's certainly better than it was. I feel like I had like maybe I'm just better at hiding it, but looks a little. I was like, oh, it looks a little cleaner. Looks a little cleaner in the background. But John, how was your holiday weekend?
Well, it was a lot of time sitting inside with a 6-year-old because it was raining and you couldn't really go do anything. So it was fine. I don't want to say it was sort of prison-esque. I wish it were sunny. That's what I wish I could have gone outside a little bit and enjoyed the weather. But I love not going to work on Monday. That was nice. Yeah. You had something going on, right? This weekend on Sunday, something fun?
Well, it was going to be an F1 party, but I was sick. So instead, on Saturday, we went and got a new dog. So that was the welcoming.
That's a thing. Tell us about the dog.
His name is Ollie, and maybe I can get my wife to bring him up. But he's a little
gotta show dog.
He's a little tripod dog. He's missing a little bit of a front paw and a little bit of a blind mix, but he's super cute, very very affectionate. Adopted him.
How does one miss a bit of a paw? Is he missing a whole paw?
It's just something that didn't develop. He got like a little like chicken wing type thing going on.
Okay, little nubbins,
little nubbins. So. Just something that didn't develop. But yeah, he was one of my wife's friends, apparently, who rescues dogs, had like 8 dogs, and just was like, this dog really just isn't developing like a personality. So I kind of want to find a good home for him. I was like, oh, okay. And we looked at him. He was cute. And I said, we'll take him. And definitely like the first days, he was like, what's going on? Where am I? But then he found our bed and we were debating whether we'd let him sleep on the bed. And he made that decision for us and just climbed right into the bed. And he was like, nope, I'm sleeping here. We're like, okay.
They really put the hard sell on there. Like, well, he has no personality. And also there's a thing about the front leg you should know about. You're like, that is my dog. Give me that dog. I got to have it.
Yeah.
I respect it.
But no, we're enjoying.
How old is the
1 year? 1 year. So
perfect.
So he is certainly on the younger side, which is what we wanted. It's sort of a change of pace from the last dog.
For sure. Well, plenty of tread on those tires at a 1-year-old pup. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for that to be me and to get on the show and talk about that, but it's only been, I don't know, a year of me trying to do that. So maybe a year and a half. Maybe the fall will be my time to have a dog over my shoulder, sitting curled up in the corner like a son. I'll have my dog in the corner of the frame.
Yeah, but anyway, enough talk about dogs.
Never,
not
enough talk. Also, never. More questions.
Should we talk DC United? I guess we should. DC United 4-4 draw. A last game before some sort of new tournament called the World Cup. I can't imagine the World Cup being like a 4-year tradition that's run for many, many years with how poorly it's been organized as far as tickets and everything else. Like this has to be
I'm really unfamiliar.
Yeah.
I know about the W Cup. I think is it like that? Is it similar to that? Okay.
I think it involves like national teams. I don't know. I'm not really feeling the national spirit.
I looked to see if Poland was playing, and they didn't make it. Italy's not making it. I'm really curious. If you have a team that you would like me to root for, please put it in the. Please let us know.
Cape Verde,
Write to us on Blue Sky. I am a free agent, so let me know who I should. Who'd you say?
Cape Verde.
That's an interesting one. Haiti was another one that I was like, that would be kind of cool. We'll see. I'll keep my eyes open. I'm a free agent.
But yes, the massive World Cup break, meaning we won't have DC United soccer until July, and we maybe will have a whole new roster with the way things are going. I think after these last 2 games, I feel like this game particularly and the last game just showcased all the things that have gone well. The attack looks like it's able to score goals. They're able to be effective off set pieces. And everything else that is still missing with this team. We'll get into that. Why does DC keep blowing leads? I don't know. I'm not sure if I'll have the popular answer. Some people might have a different answer than what I have. But
I'm intrigued now. You've teased it quite well.
Well, no, maybe it won't be surprising. I don't know. I feel like it has less to do with maybe the players on the field. I think there has not been a lot of rotation in this lineup over these past.
I think
few
that's
weeks.
the answer.
Yeah,
these dudes are dead.
Yeah, it was very evident through that last part of the game that they need some depth, or depth that Renée trusts, and it's very clear Renée trusts a very small subset of players,
about 12 players, I think, and I think maybe even less than that. But he has to trust at least 11.
Yeah,
so I think that's the lower limit. I think he said in the pregame press conference after the game prior was like, we've got to somehow find a way to dig back in and have enough for this game. I think he was sort of realizing that prior to the Montreal game, they were already kind of ready for this break, and he knew that we've got one more game to try to make it happen. So I think you're right, and I think that he would not begrudge that opinion. I think he probably shares it. I'm curious how much movement there will be. We have 2 players that we know are almost certain to leave, so that's probably 2 more players than we would have had before because they're gonna replace those spots. But it is going to be very interesting. I think there's questions people about who are we going to bring in. We never answer that question. We wait till they bring the players in, and then we try to think about how they fit. But there's depth needs to be. I think the depth part won't get done really until the off season. Yeah, because these are all players under contract. They're going to be able to have an opportunity to have some difference makers, hopefully, and then that strengthens your depth by pushing players who shouldn't be starting to the bench.
Yeah, we'll bust open the roster club profiles, but I think there's room for a new designated player. I think there's room for potential changes out there, changes to the roster, changes to the team. But I don't know if we'll see the sort of wholesale changes until we start getting into the end of the 2026 season, when you have players that are either out of contract or looking for maybe new homes and things like that. So definitely agree with you there.
But a quick diversion, because I wanted to talk about it before and I missed my chance to. I assume you also saw the Mauricio Pochettino, I'm not going to call these people. I didn't make on the team. I just emailed them and his reasoning for why he didn't do it. Did you see that?
I did not see this. I have been so just completely divested of
this broke through my blockade of U.S. World Cup news. But he was basically like, what was I going to do? Lie to them and tell them like, I'm sorry that they're not making the team. Like, I was a player, I wouldn't have wanted to hear this information. I just leave me alone. If I don't make a team, he said it's bullshit to think that phone call would have made a difference. I'm like, man, buddy. I mean, he has had media training, one assumes, right? Like he's coached in other places with much more robust media markets than the United States, or at least soccer markets. So a wild answer. Diego Luna should take a seat. Like if there's any sort of call ups after those World Cup, he should be like, I have a leg thing. I'm a leg thing. I can't make it. I'll email you when I'm available.
Yeah. That's kind of wild. Even just a phone call. I think that's definitely that case of like, I'm not going to be here for a long time. So like, what's the point?
Clearly, I don't care. I'm here for this tournament and then I am out of here.
Yeah. I think that is the clearest message there. We'll see what happens, man. It's going to be, we might do a little World Cup coverage. We might cover a little bit, I as much as I'm not excited about this tournament, I does look and I was like, oh man, look at all the games, the games I can watch. So I think there will still be a part of me that will still come and watch the games.
Well, the eagle within will sneak out. You're like, God, stay inside. I don't want you. I don't want to hear the eagle screech.
No, I'm actually like not even talking U.S. team. I'm just like talking like general, like
any team,
just any team watching the game. I'll watch the U.S. team. I don't know. I might go City Stadium over here in Richmond is throwing like a watch party. I might go to one of those. I don't know.
I'll be in Boston during one of the games in Boston. Well, it's not in Boston. It's Foxborough.
Right.
But I was like, well, let me just check. Let me just see. I've got the night free. Let me just see. And it was the cheapest get in. Of course, it was England, Ghana, I think. So it was like $8.50. I was like, no, absolutely not. No, I would. What do you think?
I don't know, man. Check when you're closer to kickoff. Maybe something will change.
Well, the problem will be because Foxborough is an hour away from Boston. And also they've made the trains from Boston. Yeah. Like it's similar to. So it would. What do you think my upper limit would be? knowing me as you do, like, what do you think the most I would spend on it?
$300?
Well, I'll say $250. So that's pretty close. Yeah. That's pretty close to go see, just like to have it done. Check the box. I've seen a World Cup game.
Yeah.
It would be the second time I would have seen England.
Such a disappointment. Anyway, people hear us talk DC. Let's talk DC. DC had 4-4 draw to Montreal. A game that started bright. A goal from Luis Munteanu. He has, I think, successfully exited. I think you had some comments about him too. You kind of saw maybe a little bit more about what we hope to see from a player we spent $7 million on.
He seemed less in a eager desire to prove himself immediately to everyone by taking every single ball as a shot from wherever he got it. Mm-hmm. I think you're seeing a little bit more desire to play 1-2s, desire to play his teammates in when they have a better opportunity. It says to me that, okay, he's broken that sort of initial membrane of feeling like he has to justify his existence here, and now he's feeling more comfortable and trying to win. So I think that's good. I mean, it's a lot to read into sort of body language and decision making, but I'm more satisfied now having seen that game, even the way it went, than I have been at other points. So I think this is good. Good to see so far.
Yeah, it's only a positive thing, considering the team's struggles with chance creation. He's been able to find the back of the net. An opportunistic goal that he scores, but I think it's on him. DC was just like, I think every single goal, either, obviously the PK, I guess you can call a set play, but every single goal basically came off of kind of a set play, either a throw in, a cross, or some from a free kick or something like that. So DC, I think Montreal, they were talking about when listening to the radio broadcast, they were talking about how poor Montreal was on set plays, and that certainly was in the playbook. It was like create the set play and sort of dominate Montreal. I mean, they really had three of the goals came off set plays, I believe, with the fourth one, of course, being the penalty kick. So. And that might have been generated from a set play. I think it was. So they certainly, used that to their advantage in a lot of ways. Still created some dangerous opportunities in the game. I think a particular call out. Jared Stroud gets his goal. I think it was another kind of strong performance from him.
He's proven them haters wrong. He is not an entirely useful player, and he can do more than throw the ball long.
Yeah. I will say I think he is a player. If you're looking at the roster at an area to improve, interesting, he got the start over Jackson Hopkins. And Jackson Hopkins came in, and I did not think had a strong performance.
I think he's one of those players with dead legs that you're referencing.
Probably, very much so. So it'll be curious to see how it'll be curious to see whether that's what Renee thinks. Is it dead legs, or is it, you're maybe looking, out the outside in, looking on the roster. We'll get into some of we'll revisit the club roster profiles. We'll see where this team has options to move or they don't have options to move. I will state, I was just looking at the international roster slots, and not a whole lot you would want to take away. So, but I mean, overall, I would say that whole first half, I think DC were the better side. They generated the chances. They obviously get the goal. They're cruising. And then, Lucas Bartlett, man, has a moment. I think a game he would like to forget, even though he
had a couple moments. He had a lot of peaks and valleys.
Yeah, man. Owusu basically ate him up and spit him out for lunch. First goal comes, very much off just a slow ball. We had two players, I think, make on both the men's and the women's side make kind of poor decisions with the ball at their feet. We'll maybe get into that a little bit later in the Champions Cup. But just a ball played over to him. He's kind of slow to maybe play the clearance. Owusu kind of pounces, and it's 2-1. So entering halftime, kind of one of those goals that you look at and you're like, you kind of let them back into the game. I feel like you had control.
Oh yeah.
You had, I think if this game goes 2-0 at halftime, I think DC walks away with possibly a comfortable win. But you kind of kept them alive, so to speak. Kept their gears turning. They did eventually make it 3-1. So they had 2-0 leads, 2-goal leads in three moments in this game. One of which coming off a penalty kick, which was waved off by the referee, went to VAR, came back. Ty Bariba with the penalty kick goal.
How do you feel about it?
How did I feel about the PK?
Yeah.
I thought it was a justifiable call. I think Bartlett, or is it Bartlett or Rolls? I can't remember who.
It was Bartlett, I think.
Yeah, Bartlett gets kind of tangled up, hugged, so to speak. I think it's a lot of muscle. It's a lot of arms around the body for the penalty kick. So
who fouled him? Was it Owusu?
I think it was Owusu. I'm watching. I'm trying to watch the replay right now to see who was that. Yeah, it was Owusu on him.
He was the most involved man that has ever been involved. He was involved in everything.
Yeah. But Ty Baribo with the penalty kick. What do we make of Ty Baribo? I thought it was like, other than the PK, he gets the goal, kind of a quiet game from him. I agree. He hasn't put his stamp on the game really very often. I feel like, aside from unfortunately, the game that he was most dominant was the first game of the year. It was against Philly at home. The game we saw him, he has never been more dynamic than in that game. I'm not sure he's fully healthy. Maybe that's part of it. I think that he's not getting as many easy chances as he might want. I think that has more to do with the players around him. But yeah, I was not super impressed, I don't think. Yeah, I think it's good he got a goal. I think it's good that he got I think it's good that he got a goal. I think it's good that he kept his scoring streak up. Off the PK. 3-1 though, you think that game's done. But then Prince Owusu, again, just really, DC just never truly had an answer for him. I feel like he was just basically finding a way to be, to sort of hassle the DC center backs. Certainly taking care of some dead legs. And really, one thing I noticed too, I think I almost want to point a little bit to Peltola and Cervenia. I don't think they picked up or recognized well, because the goals that they scored, obviously, other than the penalty kick, and I think even the chance that came from the penalty kick, came from just bypassing the midfield. They basically just stopped trying to play, around Cervenia and Peltola. And I think after the second goal, I think that's when Markovic came on, and it really didn't help things, I feel like, for this game. I think kind of another maybe slightly poor performance from him. I don't think he really did much in this game. Really, I think more just recognition. I think one thing we've seen from this team is that there just hasn't been like a real ability to like control a game, like to actually like fully put your foot down and, able to sort of, wrestle the game under control. And I think that's been in these highlights we've seen with the Orlando game and the Chicago game where they've gained leads. There's been a very much sort of a lack of an ability to actually control the game well enough.
It seems like leads are accidental or incidental to like the way the games went, and they are not prepared to do that. They are prepared to be close. They are prepared to lock down defensively if they don't commit too much offensively. I don't think that they have the club in the bag to be like, all right, let's ice this game out now with our deft passing and calm and confident defending. And that is not there yet. And I think it probably if we're hoping to make the playoffs and be a threat at all in the second half of the season, they've got to figure that one out. But you're right. They have yet to do that really in any kind of way this year. I don't think. I'd have to look back to get a full, but I think you're right.
Yeah, and I think some of it is exhaustion. I think some of it is the dead legs towards the end of this game.
DC United has only won by more than one goal once all year.
Yeah, and that would be the 2-0
NYCFC game.
The 2-0 game. The one game they actually did like fully just control that, and I think the short field kind of helped them in this scenario over other ones. But I mean, when you pick up like a 4-2 lead, particularly heading into the last 10 minutes, I mean, you think the game is won. And then once Montreal got that PK, I said they're going to figure out a way to tie this. Like, you just kind of felt it.
Yep.
You just kind of felt it.
A feeling DC United fans are fully acquainted with a lead. We particularly, it feels like at Audi Field more than RFK. If you look back, feel back from a historical perspective. I'm remembering one game in specific, an Austin game. I think it was I think they had a 4-1 lead. This was Losada's last home game, I believe.
It was like 3-1 or something like that. I have to go back.
3-1?
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't 4-1 bad. I feel like if it was like 3-1, it was kind of like a game you felt that they were going to be back. So
then there was the other game where Benteke got a red card because he got a yellow card for taking his jersey off after scoring. That was Ola Kamara. That was Ola Kamara did that.
Yeah, yeah.
That might have been that game actually. So they've done it before, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
usually not 2 goals in injury time though. That's a rare collectible.
Yeah, one of which was a PK. An unfortunate, I thought Karakawa still had a good game, but just unfortunate. His arm's up, he's sliding. I think there's an argument: is that a natural position? Is that not? I kept wondering whether the referee might have been looking, does the ball come off his leg? Because then that is supposed to change like the scenario if there's like a deflection in certain situations. But I think the referee said there wasn't enough to say that it was unnatural. Yeah, it's a tough, I think a tough result for him. The last goal I think is just a combination of tired legs. Bartlett can't really make the clearance. Rawls is kind of left. The defense gets discombobulated. And I think Karakawa also doesn't track his runner properly like he should on sort of that. I think they're all kind of sort of focused on sort of preventing Owusu. And then Owusu still kind of burns them on that last goal. So just
before Brendan corrects me on Blue Sky tomorrow, it was only a 2-0 lead that was overturned into a 3-2 loss by the Austin game. So I want to make sure before I'm corrected by the commentariat.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember.
It was the game where Kamara did get the red card. I do remember that correctly.
I think it was the first sign that maybe the wheels were coming off the whole Asada show for sure. That's certain. But
just a quick, just to let you know how much of a different time this was, how long ago that was. This is a paragraph. By the way, there are 3 local news sites covering this with articles: WTOP, Washington City Paper, Washington Post. So that's one artifact. Then the second paragraph says, Julian Gressel, the first player to openly address Lasada's removal, said on the Z Soccer podcast that players met with Jason Levian and Lucy Rushton before discussing the change. So it's a cast of characters that it's like a completely different universe. Like all these players are gone except for Dave Casper.
Yeah.
And Jason Levian.
Kyle says, at what point can you see the same scoring play on repeat until you start defending it? I feel like this is a case of just like this is what happens when you have tired legs. You have a team that's exhausted. This is like their 3rd game in the sprint. There isn't really the depth to kind of shuffle through. Like I said, it's how much change can we expect in this offseason? I don't know. Again, anything else really? Go ahead.
This is like during the Wayne Rooney era when we would be scored on probably twice a game, where the striker would drag the center back towards the end line, and you'd have an 8 running at the top of the box, like for a second ball, and they would score. That happened nearly every game. So to your point, DC has a good history of figuring out what their hole is defensively and not patching it. But I think mostly what this is that these players are exhausted, and they've had no rotation, and they've had multiple weeks with 2 games in a row, with 2-game weeks. And it's not even hot yet. So it's very good that we're getting this month off, I think. The bad part is they're going to come right into DC summer. So hopefully they spend the entire time in a cryobaric chamber getting rested. Maybe they should go like train at altitude so that when they come back, they're at least, ahead of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a case of tiredness. I think the heavy legs kind of contributed a little bit to why this team sort of fell apart a little bit defensively. I think you can say that without a doubt. You look at the goals that they gave up. They were very staunch defensively through the part of the game. So it's, this team, you still look at it though, 9th place. I mean, if you had started at the beginning of the year and someone had showed you like, here's going to be where DC stands after the roster break, what would your reaction have been? Like fantastic. I think we all would have been that.
Sign me up. Thumbs up. Let's do it. Coach of the year.
It would have been like, wow, this what happened? I guess maybe Munteanu like a Golden Boot winner or Ty Baribo or something. Like maybe
MLS has started awarding points for LinkedIn engagement metrics. That's how we're so high on the table. That was what I would have thought if you had told me where we are right now.
Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting thing. I'd be curious, like what their breakdown as far as like home and road games. Like, have they played pretty much an even slate of like home and road games? Because I know we basically blew. I mean, if you look at this home stand was a complete disaster. You expect at least a 1 win. Yeah, out of your homestand, we're not able to pick that up. That's why you've slid all the way down to 9th. I think the important thing to keep in mind is a lot of the teams below you. It's going to be interesting to see if this can hold up. Yes, I'm glad they're in 9th. I think they're in I think they're in the fight. That's more than I expected out of them. But all I'll say is that, a lot of teams below you have a chance to improve. Orlando City don't look like the disaster that they were. Atlanta United still looks bad. We'll see what happens this summer if they're able to make changes. Philadelphia Union look really bad this year. Again, expect some changes. I think that's going to be sort of the key thing to kind of watch. Is DC able to actually make the changes that you would consider necessary to pick up, to actually maybe evolve this team and play a little bit better soccer? They have hinted at changes. We know of one. We know Andre Dozel's coming in here, but what else is going to be in the fray? What other moves are going to be made? I think this is going to be a very busy offseason because of the break, because of what's in front of them. It's almost like an opportunity to sort of hit the reset button. And with the calendar change coming up is going to make things a little more interesting too.
Players, keep your cell phones handy, I think would be wise during the break. We've got a comment here from our YouTube stream. Hello, guys. Massive DC fan. Just discovered your guys' channel. Love the content and analysis. I do have a couple of questions. What's the deal with Caden Clark? Was this not a Renee hire? We have no evidence to conclude for sure, other than a timeline of events and circumstantial evidence that he was a Renee hire. It's entirely possible that he trains poorly. It's entirely possible based on the fact this is a player who has rotated through teams at a pretty rapid pace in a young career without making a real impact aside from at Red Bull. That there's something going on there. A lot of coaches have come to the same conclusion. I think there was speculation that he saw him against when they played him in Montreal and they signed him. We're speculating. So I think that he is a player that either doesn't fit tactically or trains poorly, and Renee doesn't rate him. I don't think that right midfield has been the area where this team has struggled the most, based on the fact that we actually have decent depth at that position. And I think that maybe he doesn't play well centrally, which has been where he would likely have gotten more minutes, particularly as Pirani became completely iced out of the roster. But that hasn't happened. So, we don't see training. And I think I would say you could probably ask Renee directly, does Caden Clark suck? And he would probably be like, yeah, he does. If any coach would honestly tell you what he thought of a player, it might be him. But that's all we've got. We don't have a lot of evidence to the contrary or to back anything up.
Yeah, I mean, this seemed like a player who we were told. We've gotten conflicting reports. Tom Bogart has reported, that this was Renee said, they asked about Caden Clark and he was like, sure, sign him. Jason Anderson, who I maybe, not to say Tom Bogart's not great, maybe trust a little bit more. He seems to indicate, this was not as like a slam dunk. Renée Weiler wants this player as it was sort of led to believe. Like this was maybe more of a quick opportunity. There wasn't going to be a chance for any other moves. Sure, why not? Let's go ahead and take a flyer. He's just going to be a U22 initiative player anyway. So yeah, that is entirely up for debate as to what is going on with him. I think he is. If you had to talk about one player that might see his way out, that might be that one player who might see his way out. So, Johnny Pilgrim over here on Blue Sky says, how much money do you think we can get for Pirani and Herrera during the next trade window? What would you get that might be available with the money that would make a difference in this lineup? As far as that goes,
$350.
Yeah, I don't know. Pirani, I guarantee you it's going to be a mutual contract termination. His contract ends at the end of the summer. I think they are looking for just a way just to sail off into the sunset and say, thank you, goodbye. Herrera,
I think they're holding out for something. Otherwise, they could have done this already, even before the window opened, because he was never going to put him on a roster. Even if Jordan Farr had to play central midfield.
I think there's still some negotiation possibly going on. Like he needs a contract agreed to with his team. That can sometimes take a minute. I fully expect we will hear in the next coming weeks. Go watch his Instagram. I think he'll maybe make a post about how he's back in Brazil, and everything's doing that. But Herrera is the more interesting story. I think there could be a trade opportunity there for a team. I will state, I don't know how much money you're going to get, because I think the team, you would take less compensation to free up more cap space. That's going to be the real big sort of weight around his contract, which I've talked about. So we'll see what happens. Which player will do something exciting on their 7 weeks off? Which players will not, besides Peltola?
Jordan Farr will post a lot of. He'll try to sell tickets for DC United in the offseason.
Yeah.
In the break. which, by the way, if you've not seen the ad, it's great. It's very nostalgia tinged. It's trying to get people to buy the DC United Pass, subscription pass. It almost worked on some people, but not on everyone.
I'll be curious to see what Luis does in his off season, where he goes to. Does he go back to Romania?
He's gonna do the typical Europe. He's gonna go to Miami. He's gonna go to New York City again. He's already been there in New York City. He will. You're right. He is gonna travel the most. He is gonna hit all the hotspots. He's doing the Matthias Klick honorary rotation. He was always the guy. Whenever they would travel, he would be sure to hit whatever the thing that you would have heard of if you were from Europe.
I wonder if we'll see him at. Do we think we'll see? Should we? If we had a side bet or a poly market type bet, I bet it would be: will Luis Munteanu attend the NBA finals in New York?
Great one. I think very good odds there. I think you're right.
I'll post his I want to troll his Instagram and see if I can find it. I bet he'll make an appearance there. I could be willing to bet some money on that. Yeah, that's all for I think we'll save the Patreon questions for a Patreon show. Let's talk a little.
He could afford a ticket. He could afford a ticket for the NMSG for the Knicks. I
bet
think.
He could. I wonder how much those tickets are going to be going for. Probably crazy expensive.
A lot.
Probably crazy expensive. All right, let's talk a little Spirit. I did watch the CONCACAF Champions Women's Champions Cup, I believe is what it's called. Took place in Pachuca. Obviously, the Spirit picking up a 1-0 win, courtesy of Claudia Martinez. And then there was probably one of the wildest finals I think I've seen as far as the game. It looked like the Spirit were in trouble early. America going up 2-0, almost off. I believe Lacey Santos nearly had a prime opportunity to put the team up 1-0. It really probably the best opportunity of that whole sort of first sequence, and then just kind of some really smart play from America. Maybe not the best defending, 2-0 sort of quick bang bang. They can, America might just run away with this. The Spirit did battle back. Couture with just a unreal type shot, kind of right before halftime, really to kind of put the game back in focus. I think it goes to 2-1 in the break, and then Rose Kwasi, I would say, has a moment where she just completely takes over the game, gets the tying goal, and then just has an unreal shot from outside near the 18 to make it 3-2. And I thought the Spirit are going to win this because Rose Kwasi just had an unbelievable performance. And then, unfortunately, Sandy McNiver has kind of a moment that's become maybe something that's a little bit too common. Gets the ball. It made some really nice saves, and I thought recovered well. But sort of gets the ball in the box, doesn't really play it quick enough. It ends up falling. I forget the Club América attacker, but just kind of dealt, kind of blocked, just puts her body in front of the ball, and the ball clears right to the attacker for a 3-3 game. And then you're thinking, oh man, here we go. It's going to be a battle to see who wins it. And then, unfortunately, America pick up a winning goal from Guerrero, and the Spirit try to push. Not really much, I think, they had from the attack. I don't think Rodman had that particularly of an impactful game. Santos did pick up 2 assists. I think both Rudd and Morgan, I think, struggled to kind of match. It really did feel like it was like the Spirit got an attack. The Spirit were pressing, and they had moments, and then America came right back. But it's an interesting thing to watch, because this is the Club América. I think is one of the Liga MX is one of those leagues that I think has gotten much better. This was certainly a statement I think they wanted to make, that they can sort of compete with with these NWSL teams. But
I wish it was not at the end of a 2.5-week road trip where they had played 3 games on the West Coast, and then 1 game in Mexico, and then another one. I think they had been home 0 time during that. So they just, you don't want to make excuses. Mm-hmm. Whatever, they had a generally healthy roster. You would have liked to see. I think fans are getting a little tired of second place.
Yeah,
I'm
tired of it.
You really got to kind of break the mojo. It's like, every game is a coin flip, right? It doesn't actually matter that they were runners up twice to the NWSL championship. However, eventually you start to feel like the Bills, and then it sort of has just a currency in your brain as you come to it, like, oh, not again. So while conditions were not perfect with the long road trip, I still think you would have looked at this roster, compared it, and said that we should win this. And we didn't. So now they've just got to win the championship to make up for this.
Yeah, now they got to go win it. 2 home games, so they get the Seattle Reign and Houston Dash, so plenty of opportunity to kind of turn around and continue their ascent up the standings. But wild game to watch. I recommend go checking it out on Paramount Plus. It was a super fun game. A tournament I want to see kind of grow. I would love to see it become more of a traditional, it would be great if that was like a home and home final series. If you had Club América playing at like Stadio Azteca, and then playing at Audi Field for like the final home opener. It'd be great if that tournament could grow. I understand the financial considerations maybe for why they're doing it the way they're doing it, but it would be nice if this actually became more of a bigger trophy. But I mean, Club América was still a talented team in a lot of ways. So I think
they're looking at an Open Cup tournament for the women. I don't know if you saw that. So that we've been talking about that since I think interview 3 with Andy Sullivan a couple years ago. So we've been on that train.
Yeah,
happy. Actually, more than just Andy. Pretty much every person we talked to, we were like, wouldn't it be cool if there was an Open Cup? Ashley Hatch, also a fan, I believe.
Yeah.
Here's my only spare question for you. What do you think the chances are the team tries to acquire a experienced backup goalkeeper?
I would say very high. I think that's worthwhile. Sandy McNiver, I think is still. I still see a lot of talent. I think the mistakes she's made have been unfortunate. And I feel like they've been magnified, but she, like in that Pachuca game, she made some truly just incredible saves to keep that game, the essentially Pachuca off the board. I think the goal she gave up was unfortunate. I don't think any other goal was really her fault. I think she also still made some really nice saves to keep that game. She bounced back from that incident very, very nicely. That was an incident where she was very clearly like, where I thought, oh God, here comes like a collapse. And she did. She stepped up, made some really nice saves. Fourth goal was not her fault in any stretch of the imagination.
It's just tough to not have any goalkeeper that can push her right now.
Mm-hmm.
Kaylee Collins is not going to. Sarah Wojcielko is on loan. So I feel like even if you wanted to give her a spell, you couldn't. And obviously you've got Kingsbury coming back next year. It will be her position again. I'm just curious. Maybe it's a question of salary cap. Or maybe there's no buffer. And if you look at the roster, you would think no, there's probably not. But I think it would probably suit the team to have at least another player they'd feel comfortable with, and maybe somebody who is currently sitting the bench for another NWSL team but has experience starting. I think that would be, if I were able to do that, I would do that as a means of pushing her.
Or, you talk about go look in the Gamebridge Super League and see if there's a loan opportunity for a starting keeper that you could bring in for an opportunity.
I want someone very experienced in the league.
Okay.
Personally, not necessarily like, trying to remember her name, the goalkeeper that was the backup for like 4 years for the Spirit, who was 45 years old and was also the goalkeeper coach. Barnhart.
Yeah.
Not her. I'm thinking like AD French, like a player who used to be a top 5 goalkeeper in the league, top 1 goalkeeper in the league, and has just sort of lost it a little bit. I think just having a player like that to be like, hey, well, we're gonna rotate off. To your point, I did see some of this game, and after the mistake, I did see her make 2 or 3 saves that could have easily been goals. So she's got that. She has that in her toolkit. But I think center back and goalkeeper are the 2 positions in which you could make 5 great plays, but if you screw up the 6th one, then that matters. Like it's automatically a goal. Whereas if a forward, you fluff 3 shots and score the 4th one, everyone's like, great, love it.
It's a little wild. It's a little wild to be talking about that when you look at the goal difference metrics right now in the league, and the Spirit are tied for second for least amount of goals given up. So it's wild it's wild to be talking about this team. Oh, they need help on defense. They need help on. There's some Chicago Red Stars have given up 22 goals this season. The Spirit have given up 8 goals in 10 matches.
Why have 3 of them been? Why have 3 of them? Why can I remember exactly what they look like if there have been so few?
It's kind of a wild thing to think about, though. It's like, really, is the defense really that big of a problem when you look at these numbers? Anyway, I agree. I think there maybe is a call for some competition. I think you might see some of that. We'll see. We'll see. Or maybe they just say, you know what, we're the metrics, maybe they're looking at the numbers and the metrics and they're like, you know what, we're actually okay. See what they do have 2 games in hand now. So if they win their 2 games in hand, they have a chance to, I believe, reach as high as second in the league. So certainly some opportunities will present themselves. Again, there are going to be some Saturday, Wednesday type movements, but yeah, so it'll be fun, man. We got no DC to watch. Why not check out the Spirit? They'll be the only game in town at Audi Field until July. So definitely worth checking out. Even though the games do kind of they play May 30th and then they don't play again until July. So the whole month of June they're taking off as well. So everyone's taking off.
People want us to interview retired DC United players during this break. I am not opposed to this. I will only do it once. So what I will say is make sure on our Discord, go to the show news subpage, and we're gonna take the one with the most votes, and that's who we'll try to get. I'm not gonna do 5 of them over the course of this break. We've talked to almost everybody. People, that was my favorite thing, was people like, have you ever talked to this person or this person? I'm like, yep, just check the archives. We've talked to literally everyone almost at this point, except for Wayne Rooney. So if there's anybody you could really want us to talk to and reach out during this break, we will give it a shot, but only one. So your vote matters. Rock the vote. Pokemon, go to the polls.
We did get one more question coming in from our Blue Sky. So I'll hit it. DC, back to DC related. Weiler never stays at the club for a long time. How long do you think he will last at DC? And is that progress that DC is making sustainable after he leaves? Good question. Where are you right now with Weiler? How long do you think he stays for?
I think he stays for another year and a half.
So you're saying
I think he leaves after the half season.
Really? Oof. You really think so?
I do. Yeah. I mean, I think it'll be about his interest in the project. It'll all hinge on what kind of changes he can make to the roster in those 2 windows. I don't think he's having fun right now. It doesn't seem generally like a man having a lot of fun right now. But maybe that's just the way he is. Maybe that's how he looks when he's having fun. Because I think he could go. He's not from here, right? He probably might want to go home at some point, and he could find a comparable opportunity to this one over there. I don't know. I think that there's a reason why you rotate through jobs. It's a reason for it. There's not. You typically don't. Like in your own life, you're like, if you left a job every 3 to 5 years, your whole career, you're not all of a sudden going to stay for 12. Like typically there's a reason why you do this. So that's why I would say that. But what do you think?
I'm going to say the end of the 28 season. So the end of I think he goes through the summer window. I think there would be interest in him being like, what can this organization do in that window when we have full access, we're lined up with the European window? What type of players is my ownership willing to bring in?
I should say he's on a great contract, so that may change a little bit. He's on a very good contract.
I will agree with you. I think if this team sneaks into the playoffs, 8-9 speed, maybe, and if they make it anything higher, I think he's here through the 28th season. I think if this team misses the playoffs again, maybe I'm leaning more towards you saying he's gone after the half season. And honestly though, I do wonder if you know you're going to leave at the half season, the question would be, why would you stay through that half season? So
here's the tricky thing is, obviously, as long as their performances are not embarrassing, he won't be fired.
Mm-hmm.
It'll just be if he wants to leave. And I don't imagine the performance had not been embarrassing this year.
They've shown improvement. They've shown dramatic improvement. I mean, if you really think about it.
And I think it will only go more with more windows and opportunities to turn this roster over. So, he'll go when he wants to go with this ownership. This ownership is not, if all of a sudden, if we finish 8th this year, and then next season they spend money and we start at the end of we start sort of bottom of the table, not necessarily go a wooden spoon threatening, but just not in the playoff hunt. I don't think they fire him. He could go the whole year. He could probably go 2 years like that before they would be like, all right, we've got to make a change, because they've just not had that sort of pressure performance so far. Ownership, to the point about not changing your spots once you're an established known quantity like Jace Levian is. Oh, I wanted to say one. Actually, no, I'll save this I'll save this. There was we had a listener on the Discord messaged me to talk about a conversation he had with the good doctor about his role and what he sees within the team. Ooh. So I'm gonna drop that in our Patreon
$5 level. You want to hear some of that info. And I think his next question is, what progress do you see making sustainable after leaves? nothing about this club, I think, is on the sustainable.
Nothing is sustainable. There's no academy pipeline. There's nothing.
Yeah.
This is all just, it's episodic. They'll change the page. They'll erase the players. It'll be like a brand new fresh start again if we do that.
I do think the only thing that could be sustainable is if they actually see that. Like, part of me is like hopeful, wishing they see this through the 27-28 season. That would be, you look at the roster right now. Well, I guess Luis is here through 28-29 and Ty's here through 29-30. But I would say
we're with them. We will be with them longer than we are with the coach. I think that's at least Lewis.
Very, very certifiable.
Or he might get transferred. I mean, he's young enough that they can move off.
If he keeps performing the way he's performing, I would expect that they're possibly looking at maybe not $7 million, but looking at a pretty good transfer fee for him. Coming up. And I think that's it's
amortized. Remember that. Like, once, if divide that 7 by the amount of years, and as long as they get the proportion of it back, they're going to feel fine about it from an accounting perspective. So
yeah. So we'll see what happens with Luis coming through. Interesting, Ty does not have an option year at his contract. That's interesting. He is literally here through the 29-2030 season. Anyway, so again, I think the real question is going to be, what does this roster look like? We're going to talk a little bit about that. I'm pulling out the roster profile. We're going to maybe talk through some of the players and maybe give some overall grades for the season, and talk about the conversation Jason asked. So if you want it, stick around. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you're on the free channel, we'll be around. We'll be motioning around. We're still going to be present. I think we're still trying to figure out how this is going to look. This is an odd time we're entering with no games until July. So
please vote for Jared Jeffrey. That's who you put. That's who you want me to interview. So let's get the votes in. We'll say get your votes in. The final count will be June 2nd. So get your votes in by next week, next Tuesday, and that's who we'll pursue during the break.
All right, folks, that's it. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you're on the free version, Patreon, stick around. As always, we'll catch you guys next week. Vamos.